Hey guys, this is UC from iTradePrice, and it is November 1st, Sunday. Without delay, let's get started and review some of the charts that we follow and trade. So let's start off with SPY actually, just to kind of index. So since we had the monthly close as well, here's the monthly bars. You can see the past few months it has struggled to close above 350 area, right? The last close at the high end was right here in August time frame and September. In October time we saw bearish bars with the lower highs. This past month of October was an inside month where the whole range was within the range of September. So moving on to the weekly time frame, you can see the price would get rejected from the highs right here, and we would not get any follow through to the upside. And this past week was a pretty bearish close in the bearish trend bar, right? The trend bar is where you have a big body and small top and bottom wick, which means that the sellers took the price all the way down. The open of the week was right here. This was the high, this was the close, and this was the low. So it closed at the low end of its weekly range, which is bearish in itself, right? And let's get into the daily time frame to break it down a little further. Okay, so you can see the last time, well, before we get there, let me just review this. You can see there's no bullish follow through since the past few weeks now to any bull day, right? This was it. This was only 3 green bars since the past few weeks. And so consistent sell the strength, weakness, all the price on Friday the past week, it just got below the moving average, right? So that was pretty bearish. And now we did see some bounce. So now the buyers or bulls with this bottom wick, they would think of this as a bottom or something in the short term, and they would like to defend that. So unless we get a close in a daily time frame above 330, it is hard to be aggressively bullish, right? The last time we traded here in this zone, we got this nice 3-bar pattern where we had this down day, then it was a pause, and then we closed above the high of this pause bar, right? So if you consider this a pause bar, we need to see a bullish daily close above this and then go take a long above that, the high of that bar, as a reversal play. But usually when that happens, bears like to fade that rally, at least on the first attempt, to the upside. So just keep that in mind. If we break down below Friday's low of 322, where a lot of stop orders would be sitting for bulls, we can see a little bit dip towards 320 area, right? 319, so sort of a support zone from here. And if I zoom out a little bit, we have multiple days of support right here, touches that can be some support around 319. Anything below that, we can flush down towards 312 pretty fast, and that's where the big support comes in. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you trade for this coming week. Okay, this is the Amazon weekly chart. We have lower highs since the past few weeks now, as well as lower lows. So that's a classic sign of market weakness. We did close below the 20 SMA here in the weekly time frame, which is bearish as well. So expect some weakness and a good support area, not until here 2900 to 2870 is a good buying zone, because the last time we traded there, we had a nice bullish piercing pattern to work off of for bulls, and this is where we also kind of broke out from here back in the July time frame. So let's see, this is going to be a second test here quickly in the recent weeks that we'll be testing this area. if this continues to go down. And moving on to the daily time frame to just break it down a little further. Bearish close, right? So this looks like a very nice clean breakdown from the bear flag, right? We don't have any bullish follow through to the upside. This Friday bar was a big bearish trend bar that closed towards the low end of its day or week both. We closed below all the support levels right here, right here, and this right here. So increased volume. Yes, we can get a little bit of relief oversold bounce, but then probably bears would fade it back towards the low end of its recent range. So let's see how this election kind of affects this price. But then the support to look for would be 29.65, 29.08, and then 28.70 all the way down, right? Which is which should provide good floor for in the short term move here in this week. Okay, so look for that. Let's move on to the next one. The chart of Apple, weekly chart, weekly time frame. We did give up this double bottom support here that we had in the weekly time frame from a few weeks ago, and we closed very nicely and comfortably below that level. We did manage to remain above this 107.7 area, which is the 20 SMA in the weekly time frame. So look for that as the short term support level. If that gets taken out, we have this bullish piercing pattern support around 103 level. That should be a good first touch bounce play if you are trying to do that. But if you're trying to target any move to the downside and break off 107, can target 103, and if we take that out as well, then definitely the psychological support 100 is a good target on the downside. But then the real price support itself does not come until 93, 96 and 93 level. Okay, sometimes even 89 level as well, which is the monthly support. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. But in the daily time frame, we are below all the short-term moving averages. So if you want to take long, you would want to, if you want to swing any of these names long here in the coming future, you would want to see a price action that looks similar to this, right? Where you see buyers stepping in on any weakness and giving us a bullish trend bar, right? And any bearish bars does not really see a downside follow through. So that would be a first sign for you to see, okay, there is some bottoming pattern going on. There are buyers showing up and buying the weakness. Until or unless you see things like that, it is very hard to be bullish on it right now. Okay, because we had this price range and now it has gotten below that. So we'll see how it handles this price range. I mean, does it get acceptance here because we had the previous support levels here, or it gives up eventually and goes for this gap fill area towards 96. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, here's the chart of Zoom. We had nice bullish run okay, since the past few months now, where we enjoyed all these nice runs, but now we had this bearish dark cloud cover pattern, right? It's called dark cloud cover because we opened above this bullish bar. We tried to move up, but then eventually gave up and closed below the 50% mark of this bullish trend bar, and this becomes the dark cloud cover. Okay, and we did have a nice downside follow through to it as well last week. So bears got what they wanted, and now we're sitting at this 457 support level. Let's look into the daily time frame to give us some clues as to what's going on. This is a daily chart, really strong thrust down, 3 big bearish trend bars down, right? So 50 SMA is right here. We'll see if it provides any support, or at least a first touch bounce and then some sort of a weak bullish close right here. I wouldn't count it really strong indication of going long. I would want to see some consolidation here, some price acceptance before taking any swing long. But right now the path of least resistance remains down. We'll see how it handles this 50 SMA area. Okay, here is the chart of Netflix in the weekly time frame. We did see some upside move this past week, but it got rejected with the rest of the market. You can see every time we moved above 520 area, we would get rejection, right? 520 being this right here. It just would not sustain the move up, and we have this some sort of a triple top, you can say, with the bottom. I would say this area of 466 pro has been a good support level. You can see multiple touch points there, right? And now we're getting close to that area. So it will be the fourth time in the weekly time frame that we'll be testing that area. So I would expect some sort of support here, but if we give up that level, then 450, 453 area is a monthly support, and if we give up that as well, then definitely look for 432, 439 area as its next stop. Okay, getting into the daily, similar price action on this name. Right now we have this bearish trend bar down on Friday that closed below the congestion zone that it was kind of forming after the earnings, right? It was kind of, price was just kind of stabilizing here. We did move up on Thursday on the news, but then eventually just reversed down big and closed below all this congestion zone. So the path to least resistance again remains down. Preference remains sell the strength unless or until you start seeing price acceptance and lack of bearish follow through, right? We had this bearish trend bar right here, but no follow through to the downside. It held this support 466. So if it holds that support, it shows some consolidation or even a move down, and then it closes back up above that 466, 470 level. That's a good sign that buyers are showing up and they would like to buy this at least for a test back towards the 500 level, right? But if we start getting a close, a daily close, or even a 4-hourly bar close below 466, 470 level, all this area, this support level right here, that would mean that this is still weak and it wants to continue its move down. Okay, here's the Boeing chart, the weekly chart. Consistently weak sideways to down action in the weekly time frame. But if you notice, this is the first time we have closed below this 156 level, right? Every time we traded below that level, we would see buyers come in right here. We are still a little bit away from the channel bottom here. If you draw this purple line, if you focus on that, every time we would trade here, we would get a rejection, right? So now we are getting close to where it will find some support here at between 141 and 136. It can find that support, but for right now, after the earnings, we did sell off and we closed weak, pretty weak here in the weekly time frame. And moving on to the daily here, unless or until, again, if you want to play the upside on this name, you would want to see some sort of bullish daily close at this channel support, right? So we got this what do you call this, bullish pattern here, right here. So unless you get a bullish pattern here as well, it is hard to be aggressively bullish on this name. Yes, we did get a bounce here from 141, but that was just a, so you can say, a dead cat bounce or something, because we did close at the low end of the week, right? We broke this, we had this big selling from this rejection area. So we quickly made it all the way towards the channel bottom. So unless you see a bullish bar like this, that tests this channel bottom here, don't be taking the long trades, or if you do, keep your position size manageable and small. Okay, here's the weekly chart of Tesla. Again, it is relatively strong name, but did give up this important support level of 407 or even 400 if you want to just say psychological, because every time we would trade here we would bounce back up since the past few weeks, right? But this last week we gave up and closed down. So let's dig into the daily time frame to see a little bit of what's going on. So we are in this we're holding this trend line right here, and so that is, oh, it's not a daily time frame. Let me move on to the daily. This is 4 hourly, sorry. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, so you can see every time we traded in the daily time frame on the 50 SMA, we would get a bounce, which is this green line. We would get a bounce, but we did try the bounce here in the daily time frame, but there was no follow through to the upside. We got rejected with this doji bar right here and eventually closed below the 50 SMA and below this 406 support level. So now the downside target would be the first this trend line, right? We'll see if it touches this trend line and holds and reverses or not, but usually if it does, we can see some buyers get back into the game and see that these moving averages kind of catch up, and see if we get sellers right there. That would mean that this, oops, sorry, it's kind of getting dizzy, but look at this trend line, right? Something like that can also keep the prices down until or unless we start moving back above 407 and eventually above 418, which is the double top right here. It's hard to be aggressively swinging this name on the long side, right? On the downside, if we break below this trend line right here, here's the first stop, which is 351, and then 335, which is the support levels from back in September time frame right here. Okay, got first touch point, there's another touch point, and that's where we actually broke out from, right? So buyers or bulls would like to defend that area. We'll see how that happens, but for right now, this is the game plan.